Well, good evening. I am Madaso Foge. I am here tonight with a good friend of mine, Dr. Hashim Ahmed Adam, who has written an inspiring story, a book titled Grateful, A Memory, Resistance, and Hope, an Oromo Son's Journey Beyond a Changing Ethiopia. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the book. The title itself, Grateful, carries such a meaning. It's about remembering where we come from and also recognizing the struggles that our communities have been through and endured and finding hope about what's ahead. This book is not just about Hashim's personal story, it's about all of us, and we all can take something away from it. Definitely, I've reading it. I've had a deeper understanding, a depth of Oromo history, especially as someone who did not go through the refugee camp in Kenya. Seeing that the very human side of migration, exile, resilience that comes with it, and most importantly, finding an inspiration to honor our own stories and to keep pursuing hope, and even when the challenges seem impossible. With that, I want us to dive into a conversation with Hashim. And Dr. Hashim, first of all, congratulations on publishing this wonderful memoir of yours. It's such an inspiring journey you've shared with the world. So let's start with just talking about what inspired you to share your journey. And let's start with that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Medaso, my good friend. We've known each other for a long time now. I can't even count years. What inspired me? Stories to tell. And I have a background that I thought should I should share with my fellow uh, people, especially young people who may read my book, see what I went through, and hopefully inspired. So this is something that I've kept records for a long time, probably when I was in back in high school, middle school, and I thought keeping it to myself is it's not going to serve anyone, including myself.
Well, we are absolutely glad, delighted that you shared with us.
So
And Hashim, I think maybe you're coming a little bit slower. I'm not exactly sure, but that said, I was saying I'm glad that you decide to share your journey. It's definitely an inspiring journey. Let's. I want you to tell us a little bit about Danaba, your village, your birth village. I'm sure there are a lot of young people from Danaba who will be very happy to see one of their own on the world stage. So why don't you start with maybe a little bit more on the light heart side? Where is the Naba? What's different about the Naba? What is it? How is it any different from any other villages, or how is it the same? I should say maybe.
well, the Nava is very special for me. It I think the very important thing I really want to show about Danaba is where it is located and the topography of the place. When you see Danaba is south to Dodola town, and if you heard lately on the news, the top student this year who graduated took the 12th grade exam is from Dodola. So Dodola kind of have a spot is on a spotlight right now. So the Naba is like about 10, 15 miles south to Dodola town. And assume Dodola is like a door, big door, and you going in, and there are two rivers on right and left of the Naba. And one is Lensho, the other one is Kora. And then you go in, and on both sides there are like mountains, like a highland. And then when you go all the way to the end of the Naba, you also have this big mountain. So imagine you're just like going into a house, Dodula being a door, and a very beautiful place, Uh, and so and also in Dodola or in our area, Daneba, even the place itself, most of the time is like called by the name of the people who live there. I know, I'm sure since you read my book, you would see the description of like Gama or Itu, Gama Doyo, and then the middle Danaba.
Yeah,
And it's a very beautiful place that it's hard for me to actually describe it right now, but that's how I can imagine. And
that's
yeah.
no, that reminds me of my own village, beautiful mountain called Duro. So I when you were describing that, my mind was in Duro. So I'm happy to hear that I guess we do come from a similar area in the rural village. But that said, Hashim, tell me something. So the you titled your book "Grateful." Now, when somebody reads a title "Grateful," uh, what should come to mind? What are we thinking about? What are we grateful for?
So grateful. It's I had to actually probably I changed maybe let me not exaggerate 100%, 100 times, but 10 times. I was coming up with different names, and at the end of the day, when I think about the title of this book, someone who read actually goes in and read the book may understand why I'm grateful. So I can say I'm grateful about so many things. I'm grateful about the challenge that I went through. I'm grateful about where I am today. Me to become whoever I am today. And in general, I just put it in a single word: grateful. And as you read through the book, you will you will really understand why I'm grateful, because I came a long way.
That's yeah, yes, I definitely can see that. You mentioned many times that you stood on the shoulders of many giants in your life, and one of the giants you continually mentioned in your book was your grandma. Tell us a little bit about grandma. She's inspiring in her own ways.
Well, my grandma, uh, Buja Tufe Bakalcha, is my grandma's name. She raised me from day one, I can say. I am the oldest of my family, and have a one brother. So in our culture, when young woman gets about to give birth for first time, where do they go to for support? Like, she went back to her mom's place, and so I was born at my grandma's house, and grandma decided to raise me from there. And my grandma was not well off due to different circumstances, but she did her best to, so that I could go to school. And she gave me all she had, I could say, you know. So I feel like if my grandma wasn't there, I wouldn't be here today.
That's yeah, that's amazing. That I'm not a grandma's son, so I don't know much about grandmothers, but I know many people say the love of grandmother is a whole lot different than the love of parents. So I imagine that's kind of what your feeling was growing up. Now, I know many of us in our own ways stood on shoulders of our own giants. Now, the young people, these days, sometimes, you feel like you did it on your own. You are your own man or women, and It's not as it's not common for people to go back, look back, and say, you know what, I'm so grateful for those giants that kind of put their shoulder in front of me so I could stand down.
Mhm.
What would be a message to young people who, you know, as you know, our people, our families, our extended families, who or friends for that matter, who give so much so that you know they can have this life, the American life, the American dream, and many times we forget that it was somebody else's sacrifice that's written on our livelihood. Talk a little bit about that. Think about how we should be grateful for what we're being given to the people who actually went out of their way to
Okay.
yeah to give us this life that we can enjoy today.
I think the maybe the best way for me to describe this is just go back again to my grandma's story when she has a son and young brother to my mom, and she told one of her other family member who was educated that her son was just looking after so he's looking after his dads, and she came and said, you know what, I'll take care of this uh, herd. So you take my kid, and then just I'm gonna say it in Afan Oromo. Food iti lagalensho ti derby. Lagalensho is where I actually got my elementary school education at. So it's a missionary school. Evangelicals built that school in Lagalensho. So she said, take him there. Just throw him there. She meant take my son so he can get some education. So, in addition to my grandma, that son of her actually supported me when I was going to school throughout my high school, university, and when I didn't have a book, he bought me a reference book. So this is like she never got a school. She never went to school in even the first grade. She made sure that her son went to school, and her son was able to help me go to school.
Everybody lifting as they climb, right?
Everybody lifted.
Yeah.
So not only that, even people in the area that have no any blood relationship with me, but knew my either my uncle or my grandma, when back in when you finish your elementary school and move to a middle school, it's a little bit far walk, right? So in a city, so there was this guy who also let me stay with his uh, brother without charging me a penny, so I
That's
can
it.
feel comfortable sitting in that city, study, and just worry about my school. So there are so many people that I can mention from my birthplace all the way to university to here in America that either I looked up to them or they helped me with ideas or with anything possible that you know that they can do to support me so I can get more education and become independent.
No, that says quite a bit about your character too, Hashim. I know it's people generally, all the things you're describing are people who are reaching to you, reaching down to you, holding your hand, pulling you up as as they climb, allow you to climb, which is amazing. Now that is also I would have to argue, and I would have to imagine, I should say, that it's your character must have played a huge role. I think many times we want people to take care of us, families, friends, whoever that may be, to reach out to us. But we never kind of look back at ourselves and say, okay, what am I giving in return? Who am I? What is my contribution to this relationship? What do you think of that? Your character has to be part of that equation, wouldn't you say?
So I'm gonna mention one thing. Okay, my mom's brother, who I said bought me all the reference books and took care of me when I needed, and even at how hard it is live in Ethiopia, right? He was an elementary school teacher. He would sometimes, when I was going to high school, he would sometimes get give me one of his shirt. so I can, I don't go without clothes,
Clothing.
And one thing, and then he also said, you know what? At some point, I heard him saying, I don't support this kid just because he's my blood. He said, I do see his future. I
Yes,
see he tries his best. So I still remember that.
absolutely.
Not only a blood, that because I was his sister's uh, child, and he kind of saw a potential in me that I would be somebody today. So he invested in me.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
what you're doing for yourself motivated other people to do more
Right.
for you.
Definitely.
Absolutely. No, and
Definitely.
I think it's extremely important for us, especially for young people, to remember that you have to always do your part. You can obviously, if people are willing to invest in you, people are willing to hold your hand. That's good. That's our people are very generous when it comes to things like that. But you got to play your role. And I think Kashim, I would be remiss not to say that you must have played your role really well for all these people throughout your life to hold your hands and to guide you.
Well, I try to be not only I try to get along with people. I try my best to help myself, and also, um, and at the same time, I respect people, regardless of their age, regardless of whatever background they have. And I feel like everybody kind of it's a payback. So let me give you one example, okay? So when I was at the U of M, uh, uh so I think at one point I did not know Oromo leadership in the area, Oromo community leadership, even though left leadership. But since I joined OSU, I start reaching out to everyone, talking to them, getting to know them. And one day I got the opportunity to apply for a job, but I didn't have any reference. Okay. So through my, my engagement with them, they kind of knew me. So one of them actually picked up a phone and called the company that I applied to. Guess what? The next day they call me, hey, you got the job,
That's impressive.
you know? So and then there was this saying that from my, SSA, right, the Somali Student Association, there was this girl in that, we used to have closed office. Our office was closed, and she said, "Oh, she was also in a board, and she participates in the community." And at one point, she said, "Hashib, I I'm not serving my community, but my community is serving me." So me finding that job easily after, because I knew someone, kind of that point clicked, you know. So it did not. I wasn't serving, but I'm actually served
Yeah,
just because I get involved, and I knew people. I had connections.
absolutely. So I
Yeah.
think what I heard you say, Hashim, is if you want hands to extend to you, you need to extend hands, right? If you want to
Right.
shake more hands, you better
Right.
extend your hand.
Definitely.
If you want people to smile at you, better start smiling, right?
Right.
That's kind of what that's. I think that's important because many times we want people to do things for us that we don't even want to do for ourselves, that we're not even interested in doing ourselves. And so I love that story where and I think in the book you mentioned a couple of places where I kind of insinuated a lot of these families like to being around their kids because you are a good influence in their lives as well. And I think that's a key at times. If you are a bad influence, if you are a child that is don't respect hierarchies, don't respect people's homes and their values, their beliefs, their nobody would want you, right?
Right. Right.
And
Definitely.
that's those things are where you those are part of the um, equation that you fulfill, and or part of the completion of that equation is that you bring in. Yeah, so that's awesome. And I know you talked a little bit about you got in a little bit ahead of our us into get into our alma mater, the University of Minnesota, where you and I both went. We'll get there. I know we have a. I'm sure the OSU and our Patsy from back in the days probably are, we're gonna see this somewhere and say, oh, I remember those two boys. So we'll get there in a minute. But let me ask you a little bit more about Ethiopia. You were just a young boy, and you wrote in the book. I quote you. You say, "Growing up as a child of a freedom fighter, confronting surveillance and limited opportunities," and you went on about how you and your family endured all of that and all of that struggle and the type of pressure you went under even as a kid. Some will even break adults. Uh, Talk to us a little about that. Who is the freedom fighter in this question, and also maybe what's your role in it?
Well, like I mentioned in there, I was just a child.
Uh,
Okay,
I
just
think
a
actually my boss just showed up. Let me kick him out, and I'll be right back.
okay.
All right, my apologies. I am back. Go
It's
ahead,
okay.
Ashim. Yeah,
Yeah. So just like I mentioned in there, I was just a child, but there were so many things going around me. Since I was a child, I remember everything like as if it's happening right now today. As I grew up, I start taking notes, but then I just kept it in my memory. So then, this person that I'm mentioning is my own father. He had goal. He had uh, it he thought that the Oromo people should have the right to leave, just like anybody else. He thought that the Oromo people should be able to determine their their
that's
how they should live on their land. So then he joined way before I was born, maybe at age of 18 or maybe even younger. So the time that I'm telling you is that it's second time for him. That was after the TPLF and OLF went joined the charter, and then OLF left the charter. So this time I was very young kid who did not understand anything, but that's why a lot of people actually look at me like, you don't know what's going around you, you don't feel anything. I feel it, but I don't say anything. I kept it, in me. So there are things that I don't really want to go deep into it. But as you can as you can read from my book, I did mention very important things that was going around me, around my family, and so it was it was hard to, if let's say I was at 10 years old or maybe 15 years old, I could, I don't know, I, I may be taken to be questioned on whereabouts of my dad. So my age actually had advantage for me to, just focus on the school. Even though like really heavy, like a lot older people were uh, taken to jail and also questioned about where he was. I was going to school, coming home with like nothing is going on. But there are times that I had to kind of feel from what other older people were doing, because they, in order to protect themselves from this child that is, his dad is wanted, and they had to do some things that I really don't want to discuss in detail right now, because people can find it in the book, that they had to put me somewhere where they, you know, um, they cannot be lived, just to protect themselves. So
Yeah.
it's really today when I think about it, it's really hard. I don't even know how I survived it, but I did. You know,
Oh,
as a child, if that the people who were looking for my dad got me and beat me up and asked me where he was, I had no clue.
yeah. I-
But when I remember right now, it's really hard to even comprehend. To be honest with you,
But you would say it made you stronger and developed you and built you into a person you are, I would imagine. And you
definitely,
had mentioned that a few times in the book as well.
definitely, yeah.
But Ashim, I think so far what I read and what I hear you say is there was a lot of reason, a lot of excuses to give, a lot of enough reasons to give up, but you didn't. You keep pushing. You kept pushing, and you crossed over into from that difficult life to another difficult life, which is the refugee life. But let's finishing off in Ethiopia. What I know what you experienced in Ethiopia was the building block to everything that kind of came along as you got older. I am genuinely curious how where did that level of self-control come from? Is this something the family tells you? Is this something you how do you come up with that level of self-control where you're like, okay, I just got bitten, I'm gonna move on to the next thing?
So first
Is
of
it
all,
are you is there a vanishing point? Is this something you're looking forward to and already at that age, or is it just a sheer determination to survive? I just what was it? I really honestly
I think I'm gonna mention one thing. Okay, when I was in high school, middle school, and high school, I had one thing in mind. Okay, what I had a goal. One, if I fail exam, I know I had nowhere to go. One,
you have to stay in the village otherwise, right?
even I also know if I stay in a village, I would not be safe.
That's true.
It wouldn't be safe for me. I cannot be. It wouldn't be safe for me to stay on even on a street. So the only way my escape was to one. Back in the days, I don't know if you know this history, but if you get something called TTI, that's elementary school teacher, you know what they do? You have to be a member of some political organization. The but if you get a like a 2 year diploma or 4 year degree, you are free. Nobody,
Oh,
at least at that point when I was there,
yeah.
nobody. You can go straight to the university, and if you graduate from the university, I know there's a lot of people who actually uh, had some issues even taken from universities and all kind of stuff. But back then, you're they don't evaluate you once you pass that exam. They don't evaluate you based on your political affiliation.
Oh,
At least
interesting.
then, okay.
Okay.
So my motivation was to not fail the exam,
You had no
so I
option.
can. So that's the only option I had.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
Two, I also had another thing. Well, my dad and my uncle, isang kawe kabatani bosona sila, right? I
Uh,
thought there is another way for freedom. First, I decided to free my mind to get education. So I thought maybe this way is another way to fight for justice, to
Absolutely.
educate self.
That's impressive actually at
That's
that
when I
age.
actually did, that was the point, the moving point, that the only way for me to get that freedom, to free myself, or to get that education was not in that country then.
That's interesting. So the
That
only option for survival is success in
success.
academic. Yeah.
And when that also some kind of hurdle start
Yeah.
coming in front, I say no, I have to leave.
Okay.
I have to find another place, another safe place where I can get that success. I can find that success.
That's amazing. Good for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy you are who you are because of what you went through, and I'm glad you went through it. Now, I'm sure at the time it was tumultuous. But that said, let's talk about time in a refugee camp and kind of the story that you bring in there. You found yourself in shelters in Kenya. That must carry a lot of weight, and you're coming from one struggle to the next struggle. Talk a little bit about the transition and also how you made that transition. Um, I guess livable. I think the word is tolerable, maybe.
Okay. So thank you. I again, this is where my grateful comes in. Okay. So a lot of people did not know me in Kenya. There were a lot of refugees. Okay. Some don't even know my dad. Some knew my dad. Knew my dad. He's just history. But there are people who just help you just because you are a student who just got out of university and fled. And there are others who are so who know the struggle, who some of them actually were with knew my dad closely, and and uh and I also met hundreds, if not thousands, of Oromo students who were from medical school, pharmacy school, engineering, and some of them are actually last year almost about to graduate when they left the country, and like a lot of smart people. So when I but they they couldn't do anything in that country. It's not their country. We love our own country, right? Where at least if even if you die, somebody's gonna cry for you. But now you are in somebody else's land and nobody knows you, but just you know people from your area, or people who you have a name in common, like the whole Oromo, and then our struggle is the same. So, but through that, I saw good people. There is this community that I don't really want to just ignore and pass. So Karalama, there's this place called Karalama in a second street, and Oromo women. Uh, I don't even know what they really how they really made it. So this Oromo university student used to live in one small apartment together. So and this Oromo woman would go to everybody's house, knock the door. Ugali. This is like something you make ugali, or like daku ugali.
The
They
flower,
would
yeah.
collect this and drop it to that where the student lived. You know. So my point here is, uh, there was a lot of struggle, but we our people wherever they were kind of helping, especially students who left the country. And
Yeah.
the struggle is because one, we left our country. Two, uh, also we left our school, and and now wouldn't really see much progress, you know. So it's kind of makes me a little bit emotional when I want to talk about this, but it was hard. I can just simply say living in a refugee camp or in somebody else's country it was really hard,
It's a
especially in
struggle.
Kenya back then when we were in Kenya. Yes.
I know you talked about in the book, mentioned reference to the solidarity, the human spirit for survival in that place, and how people were very interdependent, which is very common for our community.
Mhm.
But you kind of went above beyond that and kind of implode your knowledge as a university student to somebody who got you felt you knew a little bit better to give back, and you give back to the community in a specific way. Talk about that a little bit for me.
So what I did, thank you. It is very stressful environment, by the way. Like I said, a lot of people don't have anything to do. A lot of people don't don't have anywhere to go. And I found a way that I was so busy from like 6 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. at night. How? First, I back in Ethiopia, I did not even touch a keyboard. I'll tell you that, even though I was at pro university. But I once I get to Kenya, there was this church that gave me the opportunity to get that simple education. You know, starting with like just keyboard to all the way Microsoft Word, Excel, Access, and even higher. So then after that, I start teaching or almost speaking people, like Oromo refugees, teaching, and they actually paid me money for that.
Yeah.
And also, I taught simple English conversation grammar, which I wasn't even like. To be honest with you, I wasn't even fluent.
Fluent. Yeah, yeah.
I was able to help people, go to people's houses. Like, two family, three family would come together in one house. I would go after in the morning. I did the computer class. In the evening, I did the teaching
Wonderful. English class. Yeah.
the language. Yeah. So that helped me. That made me really busy. That helped me. I wasn't stressed about anything. So the time really went fast for me. You know, all the
Yeah.
time I was there. That I thought I was also learning.
So there's a saying, Hashim. You know this. Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
Right.
Uh, I'm sure there are hundreds, if not more, thousands of people that could do just the same thing as you. But you came in, you hustled, you are actually making money, you're
Yep.
teaching, you're essentially giving back to the community in the ways other people are not. That tells again goes back to your character and the man you are, not willing to, you know, use your every excuse you had, to not move forward, and that is actually important, Ashim. I like you to talk a little bit about, young people among us. I know you and I are now older. I'm talking about young people
Hmm.
who are younger than you and I,
Right.
who uh, have every excuse why they can't do the next thing. Oh, my parents are not rich. Oh, I don't have the latest computer. Oh, my grandfather did not pass down the wealth to me. There's every excuse we have, obviously. Talk a little bit about a human will and how a will can really, in a little determination and consistency, will take you to the next place in life.
I think in order to for you to move forward or succeed, it is good to have a plan. It it doesn't matter whether you're gonna make that happen or not. It's good to sit down, think about what you could do, and also it is good to have information, have people, make friends everywhere you go, and then make good friends, not just friends.
Yes, sir.
If you really want to be smart, spend time with smart people. If you want to be a businessman, start, start, spending some time with, you know, smart people. So, by the way, I don't remember spending a lot of time with my people of my age. By the way, mostly I spent my time with older kids. So my even my classmates are older than me. The student I met in Nairobi were older than me. They can tell you that little kid. That's what they say. And my good friend Aman Wayo would always say that, and Daraja Dadi from California would say that. I can mention so many of them. So I was the youngest in them, and I always listened. I think this is the most important thing. Whether I like it or not, when somebody's talking to me, I listen to them
Yeah.
because through listening, I learned. Through listening, I probably mistakes that I may have done if I did not listen, that saved me from those kind of mistakes. and
So
respect others, older, younger people, and you get the respect back, and people open up to you and give you more ideas, and you
yeah,
don't necessarily have to argue with the people, but at some point you'll find a very good point in their conversation anyway. So I'm sorry if I kind of diverging from your point
no,
that you were
that was
asking
good.
me, but I thought if you have a goal and find all possible means to achieve your goals,
Yes.
it is very important.
It's not gonna come to you sitting down and hoping, right?
No,
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
to you have to walk and
Yes.
talk. Yep.
You mentioned friends, and I think I've read somewhere you are I don't know what happened there. You are the average of 5 people that you spend time with. So that's very interesting. You are an average of 5 people in your life that you spend your time most time with. So think of it that way. So if you spend if you want, yeah, like Ashim said, if you want to be a basketball player, spend time with basketball players. That's
Hmm.
that's the ultimate goal, right? But and then I kind of like the idea you kind of raised where you want to if you're not willing to walk the walk, the talk is not gonna matter. It's not gonna get you anywhere.
Hmm.
And Hashim, I appreciate that. And I want to you in your book and throughout the entire book, you talked about education as a form of liberation, and you mentioned even at the beginning of this interview. And I'm going to quote you as this is a theme where it says something to is the one weapon that no one can take away from you. And I think that's very impressive. And I know it came from the most powerful weapon as a quote from Nelson Mandela, but uh, but it did carry you through. Did transform your life, obviously, from the Naba to Finfinne to Kenya now to here. And now the importance of education. I know it's as especially in our community as people get better financially, more affluent. I see people kind of more relaxed, more nonchalant about education because I could just be the next business person. Talk maybe very briefly, actually, about why is education is still relevant? Why is it still important, regardless of what your parents have and what you might inherit from your family?
Well, let's say people get education in a different form, different way, right? Someone take Malcolm X. Did he go to university?
No.
He read.
Yeah.
He is one of the smartest people I know. I've read his story. So you but let's go to the like the formal education, okay? So back in the days in Ethiopia, when I know, the only way a child can at least uh, survive is to go to school. And even then, they used to say, you know what, kabarate isagaya, because a lot of kids fail exams because the quality education is not as good. But I think, imagine if we don't have smart people under the basement researching day and night, you know how how would do you think we would have airplane to fly, or we have vaccines to
Prevent
protect
diseases.
ourselves,
Mhm.
or other medical miracles that's going on right now? Somebody is working. That somebody had to get the education. They have to be really, really patient. They don't even get paid as much,
Yeah.
you know? So I think what we, like, especially people from our origin, need to uh, think about is we need to have an education. especially specialized education. If somebody goes to political science, be specialized or go as far as you can go. If you want to do science, go as much as you can go. And so then you one, you become independent. Two, you also help your own country, your own people, you know. So you inspire someone. Education is still relevant,
Yeah,
you know, even though people using different machines today, it's still relevant. Without There's no machine that can function without human uh, interaction, right? You agree with me on that?
absolutely.
Right. So those people who work with that machine, those machines are someone who actually probably built that machine
Yeah.
because of education.
So I know, Hashim, I think sometimes people confuse education with earning potential.
Hmm.
People usually tend to think, okay, educate. So I think the way the dogma back in the days was go to school, get education, make a lot of money, and have a life. That's kind of how it was. Now, money can be made with or without education. But
True.
education is really about widening your scope, your understanding of the world as is. It's not just about earning money. It's great if it makes you money, it should make you money, but
Right.
it's not all about money, is it?
No, education is not about money,
Yeah,
and education about is about what you can do with that education. If
yeah,
you are educated and you don't know what to do with that education, or you're not happy with what you're actually doing with that education, it's not worth it.
yeah, yeah. That's a wisdom of an old man now that you are. Uh, let's talk about how you used your education to serve our communities here in the United States. I know you are the president of Romeo Student Union at one point. You are Oya. You were, and I mean, I don't think there's any aspect of our community that you have not touched that I know of. So I know even today you use your education to serve through various health organizations. Um, so you might have kind of mentioned this earlier when you were talking about the person that gave you a job reference, but how does serving, giving back, is maybe elaborate a little bit on that topic, how when you give back you actually get more than you give.
That's definitely true. So when um, when you get okay, let's just take simple thing in America. Okay, uh, how America values your participation in and organizations, right? You apply to school, you write your essay to go into this very
Whatever.
competitive schools, pharmacy school, medical school, business schools, and they're not looking. If you say I'm a 4.0 student and I never get a C or a B, in, nobody cares in America. This is a reality.
That's
They
just
look
small
at
portion.
Yeah, they look at what what you want to do with that education that you're getting. You know, if he say I'm going to medical school and all I want to do is make a whole lot of money with that school, I'm sure that a lot out of 10, maybe 5 people will reject you
Yeah,
right away. No, what they're gonna look at is like, what is your goal when you get into that? So,
yeah.
especially with Oromo, as someone who came from disadvantaged community, where still to this point, maybe 10,000 people would use a single doctor. They don't have a annual checkup. They go to clinics when they are about to pass out.
Yeah.
So we have more than a purpose. Like what I'm trying to say here is like we came from we can't when we get it here when we get to this higher education in the United States every day when I answer like somebody asks me a question or I something challenged me and that's all I remember, right?
Yeah.
So it is actually education, and it is the tool for us to one help ourselves, two also to uplift our people who are disadvantaged to the to this point. So
Absolutely.
if you get involved, one, uh, I think I don't know if I'm losing my track of your question. You were
No,
asking
you're
me
on it.
about
You're
you,
on it.
yeah, you were asking me about how serving your community or getting involved in your community will serve you as a person. Okay, one, you have more self-awareness. You know who you are, you know your environment. You you kind of redefine what others think of you as a community and as a person, right? That's only through getting involved. So with me, for example, when I get involved at the OSU, the first thing I wanted to know is about OSU. Who who started OSU? Why did they start it? I'm sure I sent you an email, or I don't know if it wasn't text, then an email. I asked you why you get involved in OSU. I got some some notes from you, and I also included some of those notes in my book as well. And I asked from people who get involved in 1980s
Yeah.
because I wanted to know about why that organization was established, who established it, and what did they have in their mind when they established that organization. You know,
Yeah.
so uh, I think uh, what I'm trying to say here is that it actually getting involved, volunteering in a community or organization helps you grow as a person, and I was a very shy person. I don't know if you met me back in 2007, you know, uh, but getting involved actually made me more bold, and I'm not afraid of anything right now. It actually helped me even at my work,
Yeah.
you know, even at my work, I became assertive.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
ask whatever I want to, any question I want to ask, and I'm very confident at my question because my experience at the OSU and other youth organizations that I get involved in gave me that background. So I speak only if I'm sure about something, and when I speak, I want to make sure that whatever I'm claiming is correct, and
Yeah.
that I got it from involvement in our youth organizations and our student organizations.
I remember you being actually before you were even a student at the University of Minnesota, coming to OSU and asking questions actually prior to even admission to the U of M. I remember that. So that
So
would be yeah.
let me tell you, I think you were about to leave. You were president. You were about to leave. I was at the Normandale Community College. I remember I was trying to transfer. Before I transferred, I applied for a position, and then I did not come on that debate day. I remember because you know I was that much motivated to get involved in the
Yeah,
organization. Yeah,
that's awesome. I remember that. I
yeah.
remember we really had a robust youth movement at the time. Not just OSU. There was an OYA. I know you were part and parcel of that. And I can say Hashim very confidently that that team, at least the team that we were to get our cohort at the time,
Hmm.
I'll say maybe 80 to 90%, if not more, are in their own ways well to do because they came in and they gave themselves, they gave their all, they supported each other. Because when you are in that situation, you get the support you need because everybody's kind of in the same shoes as you are. And I'm sure you attest to that, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I I still feel like. those people are my close friends. That time I
Absolutely.
spent with them was serious business. It
Yeah.
was not even a joke. It was a
Yeah.
serious business that we had,
No,
you
no,
know,
absolutely.
like a big, like maybe 40, 50 years adults. That's how our conversation was.
Yeah. No. Even
Yeah.
now we meet up wherever we parked 20 years ago, we just start from there. It's
Mhm.
like you never actually been away from each other that much.
No,
Yeah, it's
definitely not.
I had yeah, I'm now we're reminiscing about U of M. Talk to I don't know, I know after we left, you and your team really took OSU to the next level where you guys developing, policies and protocols and things that are, to the next level. I wonder if the team that you guys came after you guys kind of carried forward, and if they even know who Hashim was in that equation.
Well,
What do you
I
know?
wish I so remember. I don't know if you guys had an office during my time. We had office.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, just as I was exiting, we were granted office, but it was applied during my time in
Yes.
OPSA. Actually, before even
Right.
me, OPSA and his team did.
And I don't know
Dr.
what's going on
OPSA
in
and
Kaufman.
Cozy and those team were the
Yeah.
Harfase.
I
Yeah.
think there is actually a couple of days ago I met the current OSU president, this young
Okay.
man, very
Okay.
energetic. Uh, OSU still is thriving,
Okay.
and at least I saw them, showcasing at the Recha last time.
Okay.
They are doing good, and I really want to connect with them. You know,
I
and
think that's
yes,
yeah, I think that's important. And I think my call to not just OSU, current, former, the Oyas, we gotta when one of our own does something special like Hashim did, we all gotta be there for one another and lift each other up, because believe me, just the way Hashim, when you lift Hashim, you are lifting yourself and more than you would know. So my call is I hope the entire youth buys their circle, gets the book, reads it, read together, and hopefully have a discussion, because I remember one of the things we started, actually Gadab Bashir started at the time when I was there, was a book club. We used to read a book, and I hope this is in your book next book club list. And Hashim, I am so grateful you took the time to talk to me, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to catch up with you in this manner. But if there's a final message, something you want to leave, I know you have a book signing coming up this Saturday at the Oromo community, and I hope all, not just the youth, but everyone comes out, gets the book, and also sees you, hears you, because your story is truly, truly remarkable. And if there's anything you want to add, I'll be. The floor is yours.
okay. Dr. Madaso, I really appreciate that you took the time from your busy time to talk to me about this. This is yes, it's my story, right? But it's our story. I'm sure everyone who reads this story would see themselves or their parents in. And I would like to invite the young people, especially first generation Oromo Americans, to pick up this book, read it. If they have questions, they can always reach out to me. And I'm very confident that they will learn a thing or two from it.
And
And also, I would like to invite everyone, every Oromo, that to join me on this Saturday, October 4, at the OCM, Oromo Community of Minnesota in St. Paul, and I have a signing ceremony, and to join me. So this is very very important, and it just an encouragement, because I wrote my story. I can't do justice, and it maybe hundreds, thousands of my generation have to write a book so our the whole story of this Kobe generation is addressed. So I would like to say thank you, and I appreciate you for all you can do.
Absolutely. Hashim, I want to correct you. This is actually, your book is just more than your story. It's all about all of us and about finding a hope in the darkest places, in which I think many of us can relate to. And it's about courage, about resilience, which many of us can relate to. So I hope everybody picks it up. Hashim, I'm grateful for grateful. Have a great night.
Thank you, and have a good night.